Welcome to this talk on digital experience for Melbye. And presenting is me, Johan Lindgren, lead architect at Ateles, and
me, Niklas Lundberg, tech lead at Ateles.
So Ateles is an e-commerce consulting company based in the Nordics, and we have the vision of creating the future for e-commerce and digital transformation. Ateles was founded in 2001, and today we are about 50 digital experts within Ateles. Ateles is also part of CAG Group, which add-ons about 300 additional consultants that helps us out in bigger projects. From the very start, we have had a focus on e-commerce, and we still have a full focus on e-commerce, but we define e-commerce also with processes related to e-commerce, such as master data management and PIM setups, where Pimcore come in very handy. Pimcore is one of our most important platforms. Ateles is working with larger clients, meaning so we have 250 larger installations behind us, and we have a stable growth and good economics. Ateles is a full service company, which means that you can rely on Ateles to both set up your infrastructure from the start, and we quality ensure everything that we do, and we also work together with our customer in their daily work, doing the optimizations needed to actually earn money based on our solutions. At Ateles, we are staged for delivery projects, meaning that we help a client setting up a solution. We start with the specifications, we do the agile development, and we also follow our customer in long-term relationship following the years with optimizations and new updates to the customer's solutions. So we have the full flexibility with hosting, development, optimization, and maintenance of the customer's applications. In this talk, we will talk about Melbye, a company based in Scandinavia that both delivers counseling and also products within a couple of areas. It's infrastructure, fiber network, energy, and installation material. So it's a pretty technical customer. And Melbye is based with head offices in Norway, in Oslo, and in Sweden, Jönköping. But it's also a global company with factories, subsidiaries, and sales resources throughout the world. So it's a pretty big client that we're proud of representing. And Niklas, please tell us more about the project.
Yes, thank you, Johan. Yes, a while ago, Melbye came to us with a problem. They had an outdated PIM solution, which you could actually find in Dietmar's graph earlier today. And we're wondering if perhaps they could do something about it. So we started with a question. Could Pimcore be the solution for their PIM and DAM problems? They have a lot of different and detailed product data, including rules and standards they need to follow with regards to brochures and information materials regarding safety equipment and other electrical hazards, for example. We started with a small agile project owned by Melbye themselves, just to get a feeling for Pimcore. And try it out, see what it can do, and such. And early on in this project, it was, I think, less than 100 work hours that Melbye said, yeah, Pimcore is the way to go. So we scaled up the project. We added UX resources for rebranding. We started working on a detailed data model and onboarded additional resources at Melbye. And since then, they've been heavily involved in the setup, and they've been working together with us to lead the way forward. So we started involving a lot of PIM managers and improving and working on their workflow inside Pimcore. We discovered early on that they really enjoy getting status information inside the admin interface. So we worked with custom labels, custom icons, and user-specific settings, such as which market they control and which data is available, some perspectives, some views, and such. And this was really, really appreciated and helped a lot with stakeholder acceptance here. After a while, we could move on from the basics on data object classes and moved into a classification store. Here, we allowed the PIM managers to themselves define a lot of what goes into the classification stores, not just we as developers together with the PIM managers, but actually allow them the control to add groups, add keys that define which content types these are. And this of course had to be put back and forth with the UX designers, for example, to make sure that this works well on the front end and such, in the presentation materials and the web to print, for example. But it's actually been proving quite useful to allow the managers to do this themselves. We discovered some limitations with regards to labels, descriptions, and such in classification stores. So we had to add our own translation model, which can handle additional translations and some specific rules with regards to this. Something we hope that the future translation update, which we know is in the roadmap, might help with later. For the content editors, we worked a lot with renderlets. Since we have a lot of different content types and classes in Pimcore, we've been able to create a lot of things automatically using relations and renderlets. You want to highlight a product? Well, we can drag it into a product card. You want to highlight a product category with entire set of products? Just drag its category, which will render its products onto the page. You have a map, Google Map, for example. Well, you can drag a couple of locations with geo coordinates on it, and those will render on the front end, and such and such. You have an object, we have a renderlet for that. In Pimcore 6, there was a GDPR almost compliant bundle, but it was removed, so we implemented the bundle from the Connect Holland, which allows us a better alignment with how the EU laws works. And even though Melbye and Norway is actually part of the EU, the GDPR still applies here. As a quality assurance track, we implemented a custom watcher which utilizes the HTTP errors page. Here we can get all the recent 404 links, for example, without having to force editors to log into Google Analytics every day and such. We just send a couple of email addresses, an aggregate version of this from the last 24 hours, and say that this was probably a bot visiting us, that's no problem, and this was probably an actual real browser visitor visiting us, and they can take action to make sure that all links works as they should. This has really improved the quality of intra-site links. One problem we noticed quite early on and had a lot of trouble resolving. We don't have the beefiest AWS resources, even though we have quite good ones. It's still been quite taxing working with a lot of images and a lot of large high resolution images. So sometimes we would lose thumbnails because a image was resaved or new images were uploaded, and all this and the 2x high resolution images, for example, would cause the entire FPM process in this effective way to grind to a halt. So we have implemented the best practices with regards to blocking a lot of requests onto the generation command, but we also implemented a secondary blocker which serves a placeholder image if the thumbnail has not been generated at all. And this allows us to use cron commands to pre-generate all assets in the background over the course of a day or so after they've been uploaded. And this has helped a lot. We define which thumbnails to be generated by using properties on the different asset folders. As for the front end, here we worked with the with our UX. Oh, good. UX team and implemented an Algolia search, which is fed updated data by the minute from Pimcore, and it works blazingly fast. We implemented two different kinds of Algolia searches. One is the one that you see here on the autocomplete, which is a small modal type dialog, which appears immediately, and another is a full featured results page as well. We've recently updated to Pimcore X, and we are currently in the process of implementing a customer sign-in and different types of e-commerce features, including request for quotations and as well as let's see, where was it?
E-commerce orders.
Yeah, right. This is currently also in conjunction with a number of ERP and external integrations, which will be added to the installation shortly. We're also planning on using the microsites from the Pimcore Enterprise Edition, and we're looking forward to that as well. And Johan,
yes. And some key takeaways from this project, which has been a very successful project together with Melbye, is that we see that it's important to work really close together with your client. Try to start small, having more insights together with your client. And we're really happy that Melbye has been so heavily involved in the project, and also they have been reading up on Pimcore and are really interested in the roadmap and the way that you can work with Pimcore. So the fact that we were working together with them in the project, and that we were not afraid of doing refactoring when new insights led to new setups in Pimcore, we did refactoring, and today we have a really stable application that are going up into Pimcore X, and even starting to, as Niklas said, using enterprise subscriptions. So this has been possible working together with the client, making sure that we have the correct focus in the project all the way. And we have some feedback that we got in the project for Pimcore.
Yeah. All is not great, but almost. It's really great working with our clients, especially coming from some of the competing platforms. It's really a breath of fresh air. We're missing quite a bit of both developer documentation as well as user documentation. It would be really great if Pimcore could provide some sort of basic introduction into Pimcore and such, for example. And as I mentioned before, the translations could do with some work, especially for advanced strings and such. We know it's coming, a change there, as well as re-implementing a consent for tracking and personal data into Pimcore. There's already a GDPR exporter, and also some sort of filtering before we even accept that kind of data to make sure it has proper consent would be really great.